controversial American University plan continues to fuel tension between the university and its neighbors. AU handed the expansion plan to the Zoning Commission at the end of March, and neighbors are angry. Victoria Rinkovichuta has more. Vicki?
Thanks, Dan. Neighbors around American University feel that EU officials aren't listening to them. Here's more on their concerns and why EU feels the need to get bigger. One of the biggest battles between American University and its neighbors boils here, at Nebraska parking lot. According to EU campus plan, this is what more than 700 undergraduate students will be calling their home. EU is planning to build East Campus dorms here. Neighbors who recently testified in a local ANC meeting are outraged. They say it's insane to build a dorm for a lot more than 700 people in a neighborhood with about 300 residents. For some of them, the new dorm will be as close as 40 feet from their houses.
6-acre piece, you're going to put 770 students, plus all their guests, plus the meeting room people, plus the fitness room people, plus the bookstore people, plus the retail people. Everybody's going to come.
American University officials say they'll stand their ground on this question because the university needs a place for new students.
It's a function of how many beds we need and how to arrange them in a way that makes sense.
Another concern is the traffic on Nebraska Avenue. Neighbors say today it's already close to impossible for them to leave their homes during rush hours. Ellen Meyer lives less than a block away from Tenley campus on Yuma Street. She says her greatest worry is that EU will decide to expand deeper into the residential neighborhood.
It isn't shown in this campus plan with building, but we're asking them to commit to a legally enforceable easement or something. We don't want to be fighting them in 10 years.
Tenley campus neighbors have made a suggestion to EU about contract that would guarantee the university would not expand to the residential area. David Taylor, Chief of Staff to American University President Neil Kerwin, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, would American University actually consider this suggestion of the Tenley campus neighbors to actually for you sign the contract not to expand to the residential area?
Well, that perhaps is based in a misconception. We're not planning to expand beyond the confines of the Tenley campus on that particular parcel. So that is really not an issue for us.
Well, I've been talking to Ms. Mayer before, and she told me that like 10 years ago this has been an issue. We can listen to what she has to say.
The university bought this property in 1986, and they signed an agreement at that time that would cap not move the law school and cap the enrollment at 450 students. And that was okay for a short amount of time. There was, in the written agreement, there was not a cutoff date. But it turns out that AU never intended to view that as a long-term commitment.
So, Mr. Taylor, is American University not keeping its promises?
No, that is incorrect. The Zoning Commission has every 10 years a process where universities indeed can go before them and discuss any plans for expansion, any plans for growth. So it is an every 10-year process. So that is indeed the process that we observe. So every 10 years these questions rise again.
So can you make this promise that in 10 years you won't be expanding further?
No, I cannot. In 10 years we indeed will go through another campus planning process as is required by the district government.
All right. Let's talk about the East Campus and the well-debated dorms out there.
Right.
Let's listen to Judith Berson. She has a specific question for you on that topic.
Why is the density going to the peripheral parts of the campus?
Indeed, that particular parcel is 8 acres. It is residentially zoned. It is in an area that is surrounded by high-rise apartments, by townhomes, and we think it's an entirely appropriate place on campus, residentially zoned property to house students.
Judith Burson, who belongs to the Neighbors for Livable community, and they hired campus architect, and they came up with their own framework for campus plan. They're actually suggesting for you to move those debated dorms in the middle of the campus and move the administrative buildings outside the campus, for example, to the Nebraska parking lot. Would the university be considering that? Because that's not in the new plan.
No, we do not have that particular need to have that much administrative space, and again, that particular parcel is zoned residential, so we think it's an entirely appropriate place to put students. Keep in mind that particular project, that particular alternative sites plan, the purpose appears to have been to keep students off of that residentially zoned parcel, but again, we think it's entirely appropriate to have students housed there.
So you're going to stand your ground for the students being in Nebraska parking lot dorms?
Yes.
All right. What about the distance from the dorms to the houses of people? Now it's around 40 feet. Your colleague Georgia Booth told me that if the neighbors agree to those dorms, you might dispute the distance, the number of students that are going to be living in the dorm, even the design of the whole dorm. What do you think about that?
Well, it varies along the back area there from 40 feet to 100 feet or so. There would be buffering. Some of those finer details, the architectural details, can be discussed all the way through the Zoning Commission as to the exact setbacks and the exact square footage.
All right. And the last question, which is very, very painful to both neighborhoods here and at Tenley, they're very much concerned about the traffic and parking. How are you going to address those issues?
Well, keep in mind, any of the growth that we are planning is primarily in graduate student growth. It is not massive growth in the number of cars. It is not massive growth in the number of undergraduate students. So indeed, when you look at the overall traffic volume that we have, AU accounts for less than 10% of the evening drive time and less than 5% of the morning drive time. So we are not the main topic, the main subject of high traffic in this area.
All right. Mr. Taylor, thank you very much for coming and answering all these questions. Dan, back to you.
That's it for District Talk. We hope you enjoyed the show, and be sure to check us out online at districtwirenews.com. Good night.